In this video, we're going to create a regional PPA based on a national PPA we've created previously. Here we're on the Team PPAs page for Country X. We've already created the national level PPA. Now we're going to modify it to create a regional PPA. We want to keep the same data sources and same inputs as the national level PPA. We simply want to aggregate the data at the regional level instead of the national level. And since all of our data includes a region variable, we can do that. Let's start by duplicating our national level PPA. We'll change the level of aggregation to region, and then we'll rename it Country X Regional. We then need to select our new regional PPA in order to start working on it in the wizard. On steps 1.1 and 1.2, we don't want to change anything. Our metrics are going to stay the same. Steps 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 don't require any changes either. We're using the same data sources, the same sample weights, and the same subsetting. When we get to step 3.1 for a subnational PPA, the wizard will ask us for one more piece of information. Since we're disaggregating by region, we'll need the region column for each data source. I'll provide that here. Our service availability metrics captured in step 3.2 remain the same. In step 4.1, our selected PPA sectors and levels also remain the same. In step 4.2, our mapping of health facility types to the sectors and levels remains the same as well. Steps 5.1 and 5.2 become enabled for any subnational PPA. This includes our regional PPA for Country X. On step 5.1, we need to define the geographies for which we want PPAs. For a regional PPA, this means listing our regions. It's likely we can get this list based on the values contained in one of our data sources, if we like its particular system of categorizing geographies. We can look at and compare the region values from each data source by selecting a data source and clicking Populate Geographies from this data source. This will show us the unique values contained in the region column that we identified for each data source in step 3.1. We like the convention of Region A, Region B, etc., so we'll go with the list of regions from our diagnosis data source. If you wish to create your own geographies, you can do that here by starting from scratch. Click Create New, and you'll be able to write in your own geography name. Create as many geographies as you need. Or you can start by populating values from a data source and then editing them, adding geographies or deleting geographies to achieve the exact list of geography names you want. Of course, bear in mind that you'll need to be able to map the geographies contained in your data sources to whatever geographies you define here for your PPA. On step 5.2, we map the geographies contained in our data sources to our PPA geographies we just defined on step 5.1. I will do that now for the Country X Regional PPA. Note that diagnosis.csv is already mapped. This was the data source I selected to define my PPA geographies, so it's mapped to itself. The geographies in treatment.csv are identical to my PPA geographies, so they are auto-mapped as well. Once I finish step 5.2, I've provided all the inputs required for a subnational PPA, and I'm ready to move on to step 6.1 and generate an output. Now we're on 6.1 for our regional PPA. Note that we already have an output here. This is because we're working from a pre-existing PPA, the national level one, that we duplicated. We can go ahead and delete this output and generate a new output with the new regional inputs that we've just provided. It will probably take longer to generate than the national level one because the program needs to produce a separate PPA for each geography. And here it is. We can select our different regions via the drop-down menu to preview the visuals. Now that we have multiple PPAs in our team space, we can also toggle between them here. The regional PPA we've just created is one of many possible subnational PPAs we might be interested in. For another example, see the next video showing the urban-rural PPA for country X.